It's like AI is everywhere you turn these days. Everyone's talking about it, but it's kind of hard to know what to believe, you know?
Right. It's a lot of hype.
Exactly. So today we're doing a deep dive on an article from Bloomberg about the economic side of AI.
Okay. Sounds interesting.
And get this, it features an MIT economist named Daron Acemoglu.
Oh, wow. Acemoglu. Well, he's not just an economist. He's a really big deal. I
Yeah.
mean, he literally wrote the book. Well, not literally, but why nations fail.
Exactly. So we're not messing around here.
No, no, this is the real deal. He really gets into how tech and like economic systems, they all kind of play together. So when this guy talks about AI's impact, people listen.
Okay, so we've got a seriously big brain expert, a topic everyone and their dog is buzzing about. Is Acemoglu on team robot overlords, or is he more like, Silicon Valley is going to save us all?
Well, it's actually a bit more nuanced than that.
Okay, tell me more.
Acemoglu, he's not afraid of AI, not exactly. He sees the potential, right? Like there's a lot there. But what really worries him is all the money, the investments.
Uh-oh, too much of a good thing.
Kinda, yeah. He calls it this unrelenting hype and worries that it's getting ahead of what AI can actually do, at least right now.
That's like, I don't know, your buddy who hears a hot stock tip at the bar and goes all in without even knowing what the company does.
Exactly. Enthusiasm's great, but you got to back it up with, actual research.
Facts. So what's Acemoglu's reality check when it comes to AI?
Well, he says that only about 5% of jobs are really at risk of being, like, fully taken over by AI in the next 10 years.
Hold up, 5%. That's way, way lower than what we're hearing everywhere else. How do you get to that number? Is he saying robots are just bad at their jobs?
It's not so much that they're bad, it's more like they're not ready to be left alone with the keys to the car, so to speak.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Keep going.
So Acemoglu's point is that even with all the crazy advancements, AI can't quite match up to humans when it comes to, being reliable. And also that human touch, that judgment that you need for so many jobs.
So, like, they can write you a decent email, maybe whip up some code, but they can't exactly replace a surgeon or a pilot, right?
Exactly. Think about a doctor, for instance, making a diagnosis. An AI system, maybe you could flag something in a scan, a potential problem. But it can't replace a doctor with years of training, their gut feeling. They just know what to look for. It's
Yeah.
more than data.
Right. Or knowing when a patient just needs a reassuring hand to hold.
Yeah.
And AI can't do that.
Exactly. And that brings up another thing that AI isn't great at yet. Physical stuff and having to think on your feet, solving problems as they come up.
Give me some examples. What kind of jobs?
Like construction workers, chefs, nurses, those kinds of things. They need that physical skill combined with being able to make judgment calls on the fly. AI just isn't there yet, at least not to completely take over.
You know what this reminds me of? Self-driving cars. Remember when we were all supposed to have them by now?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All the hype, the money pouring in, and yet here we are, still stuck driving ourselves.
Yep.
It's like a reality check technology doesn't always advance in a straight line.
You got it. And speaking of reality checks, this whole conversation leads us to 3 potential scenarios that Acemoglu lays out for how this whole AI thing could play out.
Ooh, okay. Hit me with these scenarios. What does the future hold?
Okay, so picture this. Scenario 1 is the soft landing, right? Acemoglu's words, not mine. Basically, things cool down, investors come back down to earth a little bit,
Yeah.
and the focus shifts to AI that actually makes sense, like smaller scale stuff.
Smaller scale meaning what exactly? Give me some examples.
Sure, things like automating boring tasks, crunching data, customer service bots, that kind of thing. Stuff where AI can actually make a difference without needing to be, super intelligent.
Okay, so in this first scenario, the AI hype train slows down a bit, but doesn't completely go off the rails. What about scenario 2? Are we talking like Terminator situation here?
Not quite Terminators, but it's not pretty. Acemoglu calls it the AI winter. And basically, it's like the hype train goes full speed ahead, right off a cliff. Companies spend way too much, expectations don't even come close to reality, and then bam, the whole tech market crashes, and everyone's disillusioned with AI.
Ouch. Like the dot-com bubble bursting all over again, just with fancier algorithms this time.
Exactly. Okay, ready for scenario 3?
Hit me. Do the killer robots finally make an appearance?
Nope. Still no killer robots in this one.
Yeah.
This is the big disappointment. Basically, companies buy into the hype so much that they start cutting jobs left and right, thinking AI can handle everything. But guess what? The tech isn't quite there yet, so then it's just chaos. Companies scrambling to hire back all the people they just fired, the economy takes a hit, it's a mess.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a fun time for anyone involved. So, Of these three scenarios, the soft landing, the AI winter, or the big disappointment, which one does Acemoglu think is most likely? Or is it, like, impossible to say for sure?
He's actually leaning towards a mix of the first two, the soft landing and the AI winter.
Right.
He sees the potential, definitely, for AI to do some really cool stuff in certain areas. But there's that but he's worried all this hype is going to lead to unrealistic expectations, you know? And then eventually the market's going to have a reality check, which usually isn't pretty.
Right. That makes sense. It's like anything new and shiny, people get a little carried away with the possibilities, even if they are a little, shall we say, aspirational.
Totally.
Yeah.
But even if it's not all happening as fast as some people are predicting, it's clear that AI is here to stay. And it's already having an impact, even if it's not stealing all our jobs. Yet.
Yet being the operative word. But okay, so it's not necessarily about replacing humans completely. What is it about then? What kind of impact are we talking about?
Well, one of Acemoglu's key points is that even if AI doesn't replace us entirely, it's going to change how we work in a big way.
Okay, that's interesting. But what does that look like, really? Give me an example.
Okay, imagine a radiologist, right? They look at scans all day. Now, they're using AI to help analyze those images, which is actually amazing for catching things early on. It doesn't mean the radiologist is out of a job. It just means they're doing their job differently.
So it's more about AI being a tool, not a replacement.
Exactly. It's about collaboration, really. And that's super important to keep in mind as we move forward. This isn't humans versus machines. It's about finding ways to use AI to, enhance what we can already do.
I like it. Working smarter, not harder, right?
Exactly. Okay, so to kind of bring it all back around, what's the biggest takeaway here from Acemoglu's perspective? What do we need to remember about AI and what it all means for us?
Okay, so to kind of bring it all back around, what's the biggest takeaway here from Acemoglu's perspective? What do we need to remember about AI and what it all means for us?
I think the main thing, if you're going to walk away remembering one thing from this whole thing, is don't get carried away.
Don't get carried away with the hype.
Exactly. Like, be optimistic, sure, but also keep it real. AI has huge potential. We've seen that. It's already doing amazing stuff. But let's not lose sight of the fact that it's not a magic bullet, at least not yet.
So we should be excited but cautious.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that makes Acemoglu nervous is just how much money is being thrown at AI right now. Like, it's kind of crazy. Did you see that figure just from Q2 of this year?
You mean the 50 billion?
Yeah. Microsoft, Google, all the big guys, they spent over $50 billion in just 3 months on AI.
Whoa. Okay, for those of us who haven't memorized our quarterly earnings reports, what does that even mean? Capital spending on AI.
Okay, so imagine you're starting a lemonade stand, right?
Yeah.
Capital spending is like buying the lemons, the sugar, the pitcher, all that stuff you need to actually make lemonade.
Okay, I'm with you.
So these tech companies, they're making these massive investments, buying all the lemons they can get their hands on, hoping to turn it into AI gold.
Makes sense given the potential payoff. But as we were talking about before, there's also that risk that they're putting all their eggs in one basket, and the basket might have a hole in it.
Exactly. And that's why I think what Acemoglu is saying is so important. Like, yeah, be excited, but also be realistic. Don't get caught up in the hype. Make sure we're using this technology in a way that actually benefits everyone, not just the people who are making a quick buck off of it.
That's a really good point. So for those of us who aren't economists or tech CEOs, what does this actually mean for our everyday lives?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Hmm.
It's one I don't think anyone has a perfect answer to yet. But it's a question worth thinking about. Like, what parts of your life, your job, your relationships, do you think AI is most likely to change? And is that change going to be for better or for worse?
Whoa, that's a big one. I'll have to ponder that. Will my dog walker be replaced by a drone? I need answers. But that's all the time we have for today.
It goes fast.
It really does. But a huge thank you to you for joining us for this deep dive. It was amazing having you.
Thanks for having me. I had a great time.
And to all our listeners, thank you for tuning in. We hope you found this deep dive into the world of AI informative and maybe even a little bit thought-provoking. If you want to keep the conversation going, head over to our social media and let us know what you think. Until next time, stay curious, keep asking questions, and remember, just because the algorithm says so doesn't mean it's true.